can already tell you at home, this audience is the perfect audience for the conversation we are going to have today. I can tell. Okay, so I'm going to sit down on this introduction because this is like the friend conversation. We're in the friend zone. We're having a conversation about rites of passage. The first one, your kid is old enough to say, I want to sleep over. Somebody's house, slumber party, no relatives. I knew this is the right audience. You're shaking your head already. What do you say? No. Okay, I knew it. The other conversation, mom and dad want to go to dinner. They've got to hire a babysitter. Can you call the teenager across the street and say, babysit? Y'all are putting teenage babysitters out of business. Okay, well, so this is the big conversation. So Moses just turned 5, so we're not in the conversation of sleepovers, but we talk a lot about babysitters. The sleepover thing really hit a nerve recently. I'll be very honest with you. I saw a headline, a story that came out recently. I was talking to a mom friend about it, and so many of my colleagues were talking about sleepovers and this recent debate over them being a hard no. The story that reignited the conversation was out of Lake Oswego, Oregon. People saw this headline, as did I. The story broke this March about a dad accused of allegedly spiking the smoothies at his daughter's sleepover with sedative drugs. Now, according to court documents, the girls told police that they felt groggy and even believed they had blacked out. The girls, who authorities say tested positive for the drug, told police that the dad made repeated visits to the basement where they were sleeping, allegedly watching them sleep. And at one point, and this is the part that just, I felt like my core had dropped. They alleged that he held his finger under their nose and waved in front of their faces to see if they were out. One of the girls said she managed to stay awake and she texted her mom at 2 a.m. Now imagine being a parent who gets this text. It read, Mom, please pick me up and say I had a family emergency. I don't feel safe. I might not respond, but please come get me. Please, please pick me up, please, please. That was the actual text message from the child that was in the court documents. When parents got there, they say the father allegedly told them that the kids were asleep and come back. The father's 57-year-old Michael Maiden has pled not guilty. He's awaiting trial. His attorney told us in part, like anyone, Mr. Maiden is presumed innocent. And they ask that people refrain from judgment until all the facts are known. Well, what's been out there has reignited this debate. And as I said, I can tell our audience is full of personalities ready to jump in on this. But here's what some of the folks on social media are saying about sleepovers and their thoughts. Take a look.
There's a trend going around right now of parents explaining why they don't allow their kids to have sleepovers. You don't know what goes on at other people's homes, but not just men hurt children.
Yes, I'll allow it, but two, not without a law in place and being very vigilant. That isn't like mom's night to check out because her daughter's entertained with a friend. It's like mom's night to be on call and vigilant at all times.
I was like, you're not allowed to sleep at anyone's house. And she would hiss and fight with us, especially her mum, like, don't you trust me? And she said, no, Dana, we trust you. I just don't know who's out there. And my job is to keep you safe.
I'm not shaming anybody for having sleepovers. To each your own. Personally, it's an absolute heck no for me.
Comments on anti-sleepover videos like those have said things like, I feel bad for your kids. Another said being a very strict parent is just going to make their kids get out of the house ASAP. We're diving into it with our audience and with you at home. Tara Huck is a mom whose viral TikTok videos are never letting her children sleep over. That is her line, and she's received backlash because of it. Dr. Larry Mitnall is a child psychiatrist, a father of 6, and has also been on social media talking about the topic as a dad, as an expert. He says sleepovers right now, they haven't asked, they're too young, but it's off the table.
That's right.
Right now. And Dr. Tamron Hall, who's the author of The Playdate, Parents, Children, and the New Expectations of Play. In it, she makes the point that kids need that kind of independence that you get in sleepovers to learn how to make decisions on their own. Please welcome our panel to the conversation. I love it. I mean, I'm ready for this. I can tell our audience, because everybody's got an opinion. And as I introduced you with your opinions, they had opinions about you. So here we go. Tara, My parents had a hard no. I was not allowed to sleep over anyone's house other than relatives. I didn't sleep over anyone's house until I went 1,528 miles away to college. In my dorm. You have that hard line.
I do, but I did not growing up. I was allowed to sleep over, but I think children are at their most vulnerable when they're sleeping.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can never know what could possibly happen. How many times have you heard of kids waking up to something happening?
Well, that article, the allegations in that case that just came out.
Whether it be to them, whether it be something going on around them, whether it be another person in the home that you're not aware that was there. I just feel that when children are sleeping, they are just at their most vulnerable.
You put up a TikTok, a lot of people had things to say about it. Let's play it.
The people that think that your kids have to, it is some rite of passage for your children to sleep and or shower at another person's house that's not yours. I pay for them to live here. They live here. They have beds here. They have showers here. So they are literally just not allowed to sleep or shower at another person's home. That has nothing to do with their actual, having friends.
How did you explain the rule? I thought it was interesting, no shower, because you are your most vulnerable in the shower.
You are. And it was always a rule for my children. They've never known anything different.
Dr. Mendo, you're in an interesting situation
Yes.
because as a psychologist, you're studying the mind and the development, but as a dad,
Right.
I mean, you're kind of in the mid, well, you're kind of a hypocrite here, doctor. Because you talk about child development, we know there are benefits to independence, but when
Sure.
that dad heart starts beating,
Yes.
even though your kids have not asked yet, you've already practiced your no.
I have, but I'm going to give you the psychiatric or psychological response, which is first. I mean, my kids haven't asked either. I mean, it really
Your
hasn't.
youngest is how old?
Is 3 months, so she definitely can't ask.
And how old is your oldest?
15.
So,
He's
your
a sophomore.
Your
Yeah, in
15-year-old
high
has
school.
not asked?
Has not asked. That has just not been part of what he's desired. And that, again, I don't expect that to be the same for all of my children
Right.
throughout their
Because you have
development.
6 children.
Because I have 6.
Yeah.
And, but what happens is, part of this discussion, I think, is around our building independence for kids and allowing them to have really great opportunities to develop their developmental chops that they need at each level of development. And sleepovers, for me, while they can have some features, I think there are other things in the life of a child that helps to really exaggerate their ability to interact with other cultures, their social interaction, their interpersonal skills. There are ways that we can develop that don't necessarily have to be a sleepover. So when I see families in the clinic and they're asking me categorically, doctor, what do you say? Well, hey, I can't decide for you what the ideal is, but be aware that there are risks to this. And when I put out my video, the question was, what would you do? And I said, no, I would be disinclined to do that.
Tamara, you talk about the psychological development and the benefits of that independence.
Yeah, I mean, I think children need to explore other people's homes in a different way, so that they can understand that people live differently than they do. So I had my son, I have 3 children. Mm-hmm. I had my son once sleep over at a friend's house, and he said, after dinner, they always take this family walk, and then they watch this particular movie, they listen to songs, and he really enjoyed the patterns that they had leading up to the sleepover, and staying up late was obviously
and
the
I could see
key
that, right?
thing.
You learn different people's rituals, how they do
Right.
things. You wrote in your book, you talk about helicopter parents, and those are the parents who just hover and never let a child fly on its own or on their own. You said they're deprived some of their kids of the need to think critically on their own and creatively solve a problem without adult intervention. And so when you don't give them this time to flex that muscle, you believe you are depriving them of that chance to make a choice. Make a call.
Yeah, I think we need to give children this independence so that they can come up with creative solutions and in real time. But more than that, also, I think that it's important for children to not just explore, but also feel like they have a voice. So as a parent, I'm not just sending them to some stranger's home to sleep over. It's usually somebody I've built a relationship with over time, maybe years, maybe months, several months.
So
their children have been at my
if
house.
it's a screen, because obviously, you start middle school, right? You have a big group, 23, 30 kids, and and your kid plays sports, and someone says, hey, can you sleep over? These days, I don't feel like you can know everyone's parent.
Yeah.
You can't visit everyone's home. So
Right.
the scenario of absolutely being able to screen the other family is likely not possible unless they're family members.
Not necessarily.
Really?
So, I mean, I think if you have a small group of friends that you're close with, you've had dinner parties, you've gone to each other's homes, you've developed a solid relationship with them. I've always felt comfortable after a period of time saying to my child, yes, you can have a sleepover if they're going to go to a late movie or something like that with the parents.
So it's a yes, but you have to screen the family extensively first. It can't be just this person in my class.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because it is so challenging. You know, you are an advocate of sleepovers, but there's a line.
There is a line.
There's
There
a
is
line.
a line.